Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 5, Episode 16. We are going to be playing a puzzle today that is in this category that I have mentioned before of puzzles where I'm not 100% confident how to pronounce the name. I'm going to be going with Stostone, but it could be Stostone depending on the language of origin. It's surprisingly difficult to find authoritative answers to that question with a lot of these if they're not obviously, say, an English word or a Japanese construction, something like that. But we'll go with that, and please feel free to correct me in the comments. Also, a quick reminder that if you've got your own puzzle that you would like me to solve on the channel, head over to the Discord where there are instructions for doing that. And right now, we are going to take a look at today's rules. In a Stostone puzzle, we will shade a single group of orthogonally connected cells in each region. Orthogonally connected means that we can go from any one cell in a region to another while only going horizontally and vertically, not diagonally. A shaded cell in one region cannot share an edge orthogonally with a shaded cell in a different region. So this blob of 5 connected shaded cells in this big region does not touch any other shaded cells. I think the in a different region is kind of redundant here. So it's talking about the ones across the border here to the west, but obviously it's also not going to touch any other shaded cells in the same region, or else it would be a larger region. Regions with numbers must contain the indicated amount of shaded cells. Again, fairly obvious and a normal set of rules for a puzzle like this. In this 5 region, we are going to have 5 shaded cells, and not every region has to have a number, which is not the same as a 0. It just means we don't know how many shaded cells there are in those regions. But because it says shade a group of orthogonally connected cells, that does imply at least one shaded cell per region, even if it doesn't have a number. And finally, the interesting rule: if all of the shaded groups were to fall straight down without changing shape, they must completely fill the bottom half of the grid. So if you imagine this is a very strange game of Tetris, and these are all blocks that are falling down, you can see that this tetromino right here would slot down perfectly to fit this area right down here, and then this one would fall down and nestle in there, and so on. In the interactive interface that we will be using, there is a button where you can simulate that, so you can check to make sure that things are working properly. Those are the rules of Stostone, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Stostone puzzle was set by Tyrgannus. Okay, a quick demonstration first, I think. So we know that in any given region, the shaded cells are all connected. So, for example, in this 4 region, we need to have at least those 3 shaded. In this 5, which is a region of size 6 that needs 5 shaded, these 4 in the middle are definitely going to be shaded. And in this 4 region, no matter how we do it, these middle 2 are going to have to be shaded. And okay, with that starting point, I can demonstrate that if you click the drop blocks button, it will show us what would happen if those were to fall to the bottom half of the grid. So we can use that to kind of get a bead on what yet needs to happen. Okay, so we're going to have exactly 2 shaded in this huge region. That's very limiting. We're going to need, where do we start here? If this I keep starting to talk and coming up with nothing. I keep thinking I might have a contradiction to look at. How tall, let's think about it this way. How tall will the resulting block be? We know it's going to fill the bottom half of the grid. So it's going to be 4 cells high. So in no column will we have more than 4 cells shaded. That seems like useful information. Not exactly sure how that's useful information, but we already have 3 out of the 4 here. So we're a little bit restricted there. This 3 region, a lot of these regions are unlabeled, which is not particularly helpful. Okay, here's something I know. There's at least 1 shaded cell in this domino. And that is going to fall on top of this one. Let's drop it right now. So you can see that if, I'm just going to put it there as a placeholder. Actually, I know now that that's where it's going to be. If we were to drop the blocks, then you can see that we are exactly 4 tall in that region, and it can't go any further down than that because these are all guaranteed placements, and it certainly can't go above that either. Okay, but what I should have been doing is using the no adjacency rule a little bit more first. So I'm going to do that. I think that was a good deduction, but it was unnecessarily complicated because we could have gotten there this other way. If we look at no adjacency of regions to regions, we can look across these bold lines and mark these cells as not having any shaded cells in them. And there, and across here and here. Those were all given to us, so I could have filled this one in that way. But either way, the conclusion is this cell must be shaded. And now, because that one is shaded, we can unshade these, which tells me how this one goes. And there's only room for 2 more shaded cells right there. So actually this, we haven't actually had to use, even though I did show a way to use it for this one, we actually haven't had to use the dropping rules yet. But I think we are now at the point where they will be very useful. So we have determined that we can't have more than 4 cells in a column because of the dropping. And so this is the first place I think we can use that to great effect. We can say that these 2 cells must not be shaded, because if either of them were, this would be too tall. And if we drop them right now, see, everything is still fitting in the bottom half of the grid. So that's good. And the 3 is complete with those 3 cells and cannot be adjacent to things across the line. Now in this S, I guess it's an S tetramino here. I can't keep track of which one's the S and which one's the Z, but I think that's the S. And then that one's going to be shaded. Can't be adjacent across a line. This region now needs to go up here. Not adjacent to those. And let's see how we're doing drop-wise. Pretty good. Now this region needs a shaded cell, and this region needs a shaded cell, and those are both given now. And that defines what's happening with the 4. And I think we will see when we drop them that everything is pretty snug now. But we've got a little hole in column 5. So how are we going to fill that in? We need to put the 4th cell right there, and we can't put one in this column. So this region is done, and you can see it all slots in there. Now we just need to fill in the rightmost 2 columns. This one is one I forgot to mark for adjacency right there. So we need 4 in this column and 4 in this column, and we already have 1, and there's only 3 left. So that tells us how those work. This 3 is going to go to the right, and we need to fill 3 more cells, and this can't go up because if it did, even though that would satisfy the 3 clue just fine, it would be sticking up. I'll just show you. It would be sticking up over the top and not forming a nice rectangle. So this one's going to go down, meaning this is not adjacent. And we need to fill in the 2 more cells in this column. They need to be obviously next to each other to form a domino in order to fill that last 2 spots. But where does that slot in? Well, we can look at where the brown region ends up after dropping it. You can see that we're not going to form a square with those 4 cells. It's going to be offset. So it's going to go here and down here. And let's just check it with another drop of the blocks. And that is how you solve a Stostone.